So I see all these shelves of unread books. Some of them are read, some of them, more than half I would say, are not. And here we are, yet again doing another haul. What is wrong with me? Hi everybody, thank you for joining me. We are going to be doing a cozy mystery book haul today, and this is kind of like for beginners in a way, people who are just now getting introduced into the cozy mystery genre and who are trying to explore it and just kind of pick out books that they find interesting. I've only ever read one cozy mystery in my life, and now I have quite a few. And I'm obsessed and I'm ready to read them all, and I just wanted to stack up for November and December because that's when I really want to dive into the genre. But I'm gonna go ahead and just show you guys what I have and tell you a little bit about them and what drew me to them and made me pick them up and buy them. So first off, I want to give a shout out to the cozy mystery queens themselves, who happened to pick out a cozy mystery for their new cozy mystery book club. If you have not heard, Caitlin and Lauren and Rachel have started the Cozy Hollow Book Club, which is a bi-monthly book club where they pick out cozy mysteries and they let you read them, and then they do live reading sprints, and they also they're going to do a live show which is coming up soon. And it's just really fun. Their live shows are just always, I'm just excited for the live shows because just these ladies all together are just amazing. And I know that they're going to pick out some really great reads for us. They have already picked out the perfect first read for October. I can't wait to see what they pick out for December. So yeah, let's just get into it. So the first cozy mystery, obviously, that I ever picked up was In the Company of Witches by Auralee Wallace. I've already read this one. This is the first one and the only one that I've read, and I loved it. This one had some paranormal aspects to it. You have this B&B where these sisters run it with their niece, and their brother lives in the attic, which is very strange. But the main character, Bryn, she is the niece of these witches who run this B&B, and there's a death that happens there, and Bryn, one of her aunts who runs the B&B, is being accused of murdering her. Bryn is supposed to be able to talk to these ghosts, and that's how she, that's the kind of magic she has, is communicating with the dead. And she just hasn't done that since her husband died. And she just doesn't use her powers. She doesn't want her magic, but she knows that her aunt desperately needs her help. And so she kind of just pushes past it, and it's just very interesting to me. I couldn't put this down. And you have this little cat, you have a crow named Dog. What is that? I love it. But you get so much atmospheric fall vibes. It just feels like you're in Stars Hollow. If you're a fan of Gilmore Girls and paranormal type books, like witchy books, I think that you'll really enjoy this, because I could just imagine the town of Stars Hollow while I was reading this, but with witches running around. So since I read that one, that led me to pick up the second book in the series, which is When the Crow's Away. This is I think she only has 2 books out in the series as of now, so this is a relatively new series. I really enjoyed that aspect when the girls picked out In the Company of Witches, because you're not starting a new series that's books and books and books long, but it's a newer series and you could just go straight into the second one. And I think the third one is supposed to come out in the beginning of next year, so I'm very excited about that as well. Again, I basically picked this one up because I loved In the Company of Witches so much. So I know that in this book, Bryn is coming back and experiencing some of her magic and stuff like that. She's wanting to use her magic and help out her aunts, but I know one of her aunts, I think it's the other aunt that wasn't accused of murder in the first book, but her other aunt that runs the B&B kind of wants her to try and get back out there and try and find love, and just kind of remind her that you can still find love even if your husband's passed on. But Bryn's just not in that headspace, I don't think. She just kind of wants to do life by herself, focus on her, And so there's this chocolatier who gets murdered, and, you know, his ghost appears, and so it's up to Bran to try and help him figure out how he died and all of this other stuff going on. So I really enjoyed the aspect of she's talking to ghosts and figuring out how they died and trying to communicate with them. And it's just a kind of different thing. It's not your usual detective type of story that you get where you're just asking different people questions. You get ghost. That's just really interesting to me. This one I picked up. I'm very interested in it. It has 8 books in the series, so it's a little bit longer of a series. But if you read cozy mysteries, they're really easy and quick to get through, so I don't think you'll have any problem with reading long series when it comes to these kind of books. But I picked up The Cracked Spine by Paige Shelton, which is the first book in a Scottish bookshop mystery. Scotland and bookshops. And there's a cute little puppy on the front. I'm sold. So you have your main character Delaney, and she is a writer, and she decides to take off to Edinburgh, Scotland, and she is trying to get settled, and she's working at this bookstore, The Cracked Spine, and it has like rare manuscripts and just kind of like exclusive type of books. And she meets a lot of people there. She meets this little dog and its owner. It's just like an eclectic group of people that work at this bookstore. And, you know, she kind of thinks that her boss is cute. And she kind of thinks that this bartender, like, across the street is cute. And so you get a little romance into that, which I really like. I wanted a little bit of romance to go with some of the cozy mysteries, because I typically want to read romance around November and December time, especially with the holidays coming up. I don't know why. It's just how my brain works, and apparently my heart. So there's this thing that it's in the bookshop that goes missing, and she finds out that her boss's sister is murdered or something like that. And so she and her eclectic group of co-workers come together to try and figure out what's going on, you know, and it just sounds so cute, and it's got little bagpipes on it. I'm obsessed. Literally cannot get enough. The next one I'm very excited for because Lauren read it and she said that it was a really good read, and I feel like it would be perfect for November just based on the cover itself. And it is A Dark and Stormy Murder by Julia Buckley, and it is the first in a writer's apprentice mystery series. This series is pretty short. It's got 5 books, I believe, in it, and just look how cute the cover is. If you guys can, if it'll focus, there we go. The leaves and the little manor in the house just scream like fall to me, and I love that it's a writer. I just love when they include like writers or books or bookshops, stuff like that. And I love the floppiness of this specific one. It just opens so well and is so readable. The things that excite a book reader. So this story takes place in Indiana, and you have this author, I believe her name, well, you have this writer named Lena, and she is really obsessed with this certain author's work, and it inspired her to be a writer, and she gets this great job opportunity of being her assistant and helping her write her new novel. And Lena also gets the chance to go and stay in this author's home with her while she's working on the novel. So Lena figures out that this author that she's like obsessed with actually uses real life dead bodies that like show up, and she uses that as kind of a way to write her mystery novels and just figure out the mystery herself. But Lena finds out, like, you have to figure out the mystery, otherwise the killer is going to come after you and get you. So I think it's kind of like a race against time of if Lena and the author are going to figure out who killed the body that they're writing the book about, or if they are going to get hurt. I don't know, but it sounds really interesting, and I'm still obsessed that it has a writer story in it. The next one I have is A Potion to Die For by Heather Blake. Olivia brought this one up in, I think, a conversation that we had, and it's the first in a series, and it just sounds so freaking cute. I just love the purple and the little, like, ghost cat that we have going on there. It's just so cute. I can't even, like the potions. So this one's a magic potion mystery series. This series is also pretty short. It has 3 books. And I think that's all that she has for this series at the moment. These came out kind of like in 2015, 2016. So I don't know if she has any plans to continue the series, because the last one I think also came out around 2016. So I'm assuming that she's not going to, but I mean, that's a quick, easy series to read. So our main character, Carly, she works at this magic, like, potion shop, and her special potion that she makes is a love potion. And then something happens where all these rumors are going around that divorce is going to be happening, and Carly's business is like swarming with customers wanting this love potion so that they can stay in love with their significant other. So one day Carly comes in and there is a dead man that's holding a bottle of her potion on the ground. So then everybody thinks that Carly is like this evil witch who just like poisoned this man, and everybody's after her. So Carly's got to use some detective work and figure out who the killer is before, you know, they just decide to lock her up for murder. The next one I have is Bait and Witch by Angela M. Sanders. This is also the first. Most of them ones that I have are first in a new series except for one. So I'll let you know which one that is. But there are 3 books in this series so far, and the 4th book is supposed to be released next year. So I don't really know much about what this book is about. All I know is that there is this undercover librarian. I don't know why she's undercover. I'm kind of going into this one blind, and I just know that there's something that's going on in the town that she's undercover, and her like cover might be blown, and something happens where she ends up finding a dead body. And that's literally all I know. This one I've just seen going around a lot, and it's just literally one that I wanted to pick up because of the hype that's behind it, and I'm hoping that it lives up to its expectations. The next book I have is Death in Castle Dark by Veronica Bond. This is the first in the Dinner and a Murder Mystery series. There are 2 books in this series at the moment. There may be more to come. I don't have a lot of information on this one. So you have your main character, Nora, who gets hired as an actor in a murder mystery show that takes place in this castle. And shocker, a real murder happens. And so she's kind of just thrust into that. You know, you're like, oh, we're just playing. And you're like, oh, no, he's actually dead. Which I don't know how I would react to that either. So Nora obviously thinks that it's got to be one of the other actors that is, you know, been hired by this group, and so she's trying to set out and figure out who the real murder is. My friend Jordan from Bookish Gem read this, and she said that she read it really quickly. She read it in like 2 days, if that. And she said it kind of reads like a Clue novel, and she really enjoyed it, and so I'm really excited to eventually get to this one. This is the one that I picked up that I think is 7th actually in the series. It's not the first one, but it is The Ghost and the Haunted Portrait by Cleo Coyle, and it's a haunted bookshop mystery. I don't know if I'm going to read this one yet, or if I'm going to wait and get the first one and just kind of get some background information. A lot of cozy mysteries, from what I've learned from people like Lauren, Caitlin, and Rachel, you don't have to read them in order most of the time, but if you read the first novel, you get a lot of the background information of the characters and setting and what's happening and stuff like that. So all that I know is that this one is based off of this lady named Penelope, and they use the nickname Pen for her. She is a librarian, I believe, or something with a bookshop. I just know that she works with books. And she talks to this ghost who used to be a private investigator in the 1940s, and he and her solve mysteries together. So I thought that was really interesting and neat. And this one is about like a haunted portrait in a house, and yeah, it's just different. But the first one in the series, I don't want to mess up the name. I always mess it up. It's called The Ghost and Mrs. McClure. So it sounds interesting to me. And so far there are 8 books in this series, and the 9th book is supposed to come out in the beginning of next year, just in case you wanted to know. This one I'm not going to go into much detail because I haven't really looked into it yet. I know a little bit about it, but it's Pride, Prejudice, and Peril by Kate Oliver, and it is the first in the Jane Austen Tea Society mystery series. All I know is that there is a reality show where these girls are coming to find their Mr. Darcy. I'm assuming there's a death here, but literally just because it's Pride and Prejudice, and look how cute the cover is, I'm dying. That's literally the only reason I picked it up, is because it was Pride and Prejudice, and apparently it's like a reality TV show meets Jane Austen. That sounds adorable to me. So I'm going to go into this one blind, so I'm not going to spoil it for myself either. And this is the first one and the only one that's out right now. There is a second one, and it will be coming later in 2023. Another one I picked up is Crime and Poetry by Amanda Flower. I know that Caitlin over from Pride and Paperback personally loves Amanda Flower, and this is part of her Magical Bookshop mystery series, and this is also the first one in a series. But look how cute! And Crime and Poetry? I love it. And as of now, there are 5 books in this series so far. So we have our main character, Violet, and she hears bad news that her grandma is like basically on her deathbed. So she rushes home and finds out that her grandma is perfectly fine, and she just wants Violet to come back and work in her magical bookshop with her. So Violet is like, no, I'm not doing that. But then a dead person ends up in Grandma's magical bookshop, and apparently it's a guy who had just put the grandma in his will. I don't know why, don't know what for, but it makes her look like a prime suspect, and so Violet decides to stick around and help Grandma out instead of, you know, letting Grandma go to jail and just heading back to wherever she came from. This one I'm really excited for because Lauren from Lauren Love Reads loved this one, and it's Body and Soul Food by Abby Collette, and this is again the first in a Books and Biscuit mystery series. I just love the animation in this, like the cover art of this book, because of the animation. My gosh, don't focus on my face, focus on the book. It just looks super adorable. So you have these twins, Kobe and Keaton, and they were separated when they were younger, and they come back together and decide to like work on their relationship and kind of bond by opening a bookstore and a soul food cafe, which sounds amazing. So they're, you know, getting ready for this grand opening of their business, and all of a sudden Kobe's foster brother ends up dead. And so Kobe and Keaton kind of come together to work out the mystery and try and get their business up and running, because it's like a week before, if that, that their business is supposed to, you know, be up, and, you know, they're supposed to be running it, you know? I mean, up and running. Yeah. I don't even know what I'm doing here. So this one I literally found yesterday, and it is Death in Bloom by Jess Dillon. It is the first book in a Flower House mystery, and I don't know why, it just called to me. It's a flower shop. I thought it was cute. And so far there are 3 books out in this series. So our main character, Sierra, was this, she was following her dream. She was this trying to figure out how to be a singer, and she ends up back home because apparently that just crashed and burned. So she ends up back at her, you know, living with her family, and she's a part-time employee at a flower shop now. So Sierra's doing like this workshop class of how to make a bouquet, and apparently one of the people who is taking this class just drops dead, and they've been poisoned from some kind of food that they've had at this event. And so Sierra and everybody else there is, you know, has become suspects, and Sierra's boss has just like fled the scene and left her in charge of the flower shop and of his little bitty corgi, Gus. So Sierra's like, I am not going down for this. So she's determined to find out who actually killed this man, and I don't blame her. This next one is The Broken Spine by Dorothy St. James. It is part of the beloved Bookworm Mystery series, and there are 3 books out so far. So our main character, True, is a librarian, but something happens where the library is taken over with like technology basically, and there are no books, they're just using technology there. And so True is heartbroken by this fact, as would I be, as I would be too, whatever the words are for that. So she enlists 2 of her best friends to help her gather a bunch of books and have an underground library in the basement of the library itself, and they'll only let certain people in, and only people that they really truly trust. So the manager of the library with all the technology and stuff goes, I think he's murdered, and everybody thinks that True did it, and she can't say that she didn't do it or give proof that she didn't, because it would give up the underground library, and she doesn't want to risk losing all those books. And so her and her best friends and a cat, get this, named Dewey Decimal, my heart is just fluttering, they take off to find out who murdered this person so that they can save themselves and so that they can save their secret library. The next one I have is Killer Chardonnay by Kate Lansing. This is the first book in a Colorado Colorado Wine Mystery Series. There are 3 books out right now, and the 4th one is supposed to come out at some point next year. So Parker, our main character, has always wanted to own a winery, so she opens up a winery, and it happens in Colorado, obviously. And so this you know, critic or whatever comes to sample her food and wine, and apparently just does not like it, but then also just drops dead after eating it. Which, I don't even know what I would do in that situation. Everybody's like, apparently the hashtag killer Chardonnay is trending, and you know, everybody's like, oh my gosh, this wine, no, it's gonna kill you. And so Parker needs to save herself and save her business, so she's gonna be a sleuth herself and figure out what happened to this man. The next one has been around for a little while, and it's been really hyped up. A lot of people love it, and I just know I, for one, am very super excited to get to it. And it is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. There are 3 books out so far, and the 4th one is supposed to be released next year as well. So you have these 4 people who meet up in the retirement home that they live in, and they play games and they discuss murders, and they call themselves the Thursday Murder Club. And I just love it. I absolutely love it. It's just, I don't know why, it just makes my heart soar that they're doing it. You know, they usually talk about different cases and discuss, you know, different things about them. Well, then an active case happens because somebody ends up dead. And so these friends are trying to figure out, you know, who done it. And I just think that it sounds really, really cute. And I've heard that the snarkiness and the comments and just the dialogue between the characters in this book really make it what it is. That is all that I have to show you guys today. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that if you are interested in reading cozy mysteries, or just kind of interested in what my thoughts are of the genre, if we have similar reading tastes, maybe, you know, you'll like them eventually. But they're definitely worth trying out. I'm so excited to get to all of these as soon as possible, and I'm just super excited to dive into yet another genre that I have not really dived into yet. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.